All right, I got an idea, Callahan. You have how many more days are you with me before you disappear? I will never see you again. I'll never hear from you again, which is fine. You'll move on
Yep.
into Cully heaven. You'll be a loyal Barstool guy, and I'll be in the rear view mirror. But
It's not about how
that's
many
another
days I have.
week.
It's not about how many days I have left. It's the moment you tell a new producer he has a job, I am out the door that second.
No, you
That
promised
moment. That
you
moment.
promised to help in the transition. You promised
Yeah.
to
No, you're right. You're right. No, you're right.
to coach him up, whoever it is. You've already chimed in. I've asked you. I can't believe I value your opinion this much, but I've asked you your opinion. You've given it me, and you
Yes.
had a guy in there yesterday. You're a big fan. I got some more questions. I got, like I said, two guys. It's a tough call, but how many more days for you, Cullen, before you?
I think we said the 18th, though I do have a little scheduling conflict,
That's
probably for the first time in
You're
show.
kidding.
Yes.
I knew this would happen.
No, not
I'm not going to have your full attention, am I?
Nope, not a vacation. And by the way, I'm already thinking through. This is next week. The trip to New York got changed.
Oh, you're going to New York, and
Hold
you're
on.
really. What day is that?
It's Wednesday to Thursday. So my thought is we could pre-record Tuesday night for Wednesday. I got it. Don't worry about it.
Are you flying or driving?
Taking the train.
Taking the train,
yes.
And you're spending one night there. Where does Barstool put you up? They put you up at a nice place?
I haven't even done that. I haven't even gone through that process yet.
There's plenty of hotel rooms.
Cheap train ticket though. Cheap train. I wish I knew that. I would have been taking days off from the Gerry Callahan podcast to go to New York all this whole year.
Have you heard yet whether you'll get to meet your heroes? Are you going to actually sit down with Eric and Nardini?
I'm going to lunch with Kirk today, actually. So
yeah. He asked me, and I said I was busy, and then I guess he called you. But you're gonna obviously you'll meet Nardini, the CEO, the token CEO, correct?
Yes, I hope so. Yes.
And will you meet? You probably won't meet Portnoy because he's traveling the world. He's probably like in Monte Carlo or something with. With Prince William or something. That's, probably at a polo match with the royal family. Portnoy is such a super celebrity now. I remember one thing, and I like him. We used to have him on the show and everything, but he said to me one day, I literally laughed at him. He said, "I don't care about celebrities. That means nothing to me." And I laughed. I said, "You got to be kidding me, Dave. You love celebrities. It's your life." And I mean, he is a celebrity, but he loves schmoozing. There's the only one reason.
But he doesn't ass kiss. I mean, he does it to Clay. He does it to Clay Travis, but he doesn't do it to
Clay Travis, who he hated.
Yeah.
But Clay Travis is a big deal now. Who sold his company, and he's kind of in with the beautiful people and on Fox News. And there's only one reason you go to the Jake Paul Floyd Mayweather fight.
Logan, get it right. Logan.
Sorry, Jake, whatever. Aaron Paul, one of the Pauls, Gabe Paul. The only reason you go is to be among celebrities, among the cool, and these aren't, celebrities like, whatever, political celebrities. These are cool people, man. These are rappers.
I disagree with, this one, I don't know. I can't speak for him, but they did have like a sponsorship arrangement thing going on with the fight.
Yeah, but he loves it. He loves that stuff. And you'll be in that orbit, and that's why you're so excited, and that's next week. So here's the deal. I won't give you a hard time for begging out for the first time in a year and a half, but you gotta tell me all the details. I want to hear about it because I want to hear just how exciting it was for you. It's like talking to a 6-year-old about his first trip to Fenway Park. I mean, I want to hear what it was like, and how people treated you, how these big people. I always hear.
Well, I hired a whole production crew, so like I didn't go to this length for my wedding. I got a whole team that's going to follow me from waking up that morning all the way to going to bed when I'm in New York City. They're going to document the entire thing. So I'll just
and I'm going to ask you again. Could you get me a Spittin' Chicklets T-shirt or a koozie? Actually, I'll for a koozie.
Actually, one of our buddies in the sales department sent me these King Cully shirts that I didn't know were coming to the office today. Wow. I'll give you one of these, but unfortunately, I don't think I have a large. He sent mediums. It's like baby shirts.
That's okay. You'll I'm sure this whole thing will explode. You'll become a super celebrity and you'll forget us all, but that's okay. But here's my idea.
Just make sure the new person that you hire, can you just make sure that it's like you can get out? So just in case I end up getting, shit canned by Kirk, that I can come back to this show.
Well, I gave it 4 months. That's my over under on you with your new boss. But we'll see. We'll see how the new guy, whoever it is, works out. But I have an idea today. In your final few days with me, I know everybody read the latest Hunter Biden scandal. I mean, the thing people don't understand is this laptop is a never-ending treasure trove for the media. Well, not all the media. Obviously, it'll be covered up by most of the mainstream media, but for Fox News, for talk radio, for the New York Post, this is the gift that will never stop giving, because there's a lot on there, and it's coming out in dribs and drabs, and you're going to see, hell, the New York Post editor, Miranda Devine, columnist, who is on TV a lot, the woman with the British accent. She's got a book coming out. I believe it's called The Laptop from Hell. And there's going to be details in there. And Hannity teases this all the time. He says his sources tell him it's going to get much worse before it gets better. And I've heard the same thing. In fact, I've seen a couple of photos. I'm not sure who tweeted them, but one day I saw them, and let me just say that some of the women, the naked women in the naked pictures with a drugged out Hunter Biden, I'm not sure they checked their IDs. I'm not sure Hunter, stoned out, drunk Hunter checked their IDs before making naked videos with them. But, we won't get ahead of ourselves. We'll deal with today's story. And I think here's what we're going to do. We don't have any sound. As you know, as most people know, Hunter Biden, he likes to use the N-word. Now, his father's daily talking about all the evil white supremacists and racism, systemic racism in this country. I guess he would know because he's got it in his family. He's got it in his home. At some point, Hunter, this is a guy who texts like this. Is there any doubt he talks even worse? You type these words, but and you're putting them up on the screen, and I appreciate that, but here's what we're going to do, Callahan. I'll be the lawyer, George Mazeris, okay?
Oh, no.
You be Hunter.
Oh,
okay?
no.
What do you think? Do you want to do this?
I don't want to get Portnoyed. I know I'm reading a transcript here, but I don't need to accidentally say anything that's going to get me in trouble here.
I'll do my best. Mazeris, and I don't feel bad. This guy's a lawyer. He's Hunter's lawyer. He's apparently Hunter's friend. They're on very, very personal terms. But Mazeris has this conversation, and Hunter keeps calling him the N-word. First of all, he's his lawyer, and he's uncomfortable with this conversation. Secondly, he's not black. He doesn't appear, like he's, a wannabe, rapper or any of that. He's just a lawyer. And this guy, Hunter, and again, maybe he's stoned. Maybe he's totally in a crack haze. It sounds like he spent much of his life in a crack haze. And he uses that excuse. Like when they literally ask, is that laptop yours? His answer, which is a lie, is I don't know. I did a lot of things I don't remember. This he knows, this he remembers. He knows all about this. He knows what's on the laptop, and he knows it's going to get worse. And he just lies, which is why, again, his book didn't sell. Nobody read it. He didn't seem to have much of a book tour beyond a couple of appearances, including having Jimmy Kimmel suck on his toes, which was an embarrassment to both of them. But Hunter, with the lawyer, I'm trying to figure out where we can start here. The lawyer is trying to be very gracious with him. He's talking about his unconditional love. God loves you unconditionally. Bo, his dead brother, loves unconditionally. Children are too young to understand what it means. You will show them. There are ideals of unconditional love that serve as proxies. I don't have many. You, God. And then Hunter, you can read the next line. He says, OMG. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to get this? OMG N-word. Did you just a fictional character? This looks like a Callahan text minus the bad words.
That's true. Hunter's about as good a writer as you are. He reminds me of you. And, both of you use that word all the time. It's kind of uncomfortable.
Oh, please. Yeah, we don't need to go there. OMG N-word. Did you just a fictional character from the imagination of the collective frightened, and my dead brother's unconditional love is what I should rely on, and my kids aren't children, George.
Oh, God. Imagine, deal. This is a client. The next line, he says, Mazeris, my parents was conditioned. I don't even know what that means. Next line for Hunter. Can you read that one?
Yeah,
go ahead, read that one.
Yeah, my penis as of late has been space conditional.
That's why we are searching, the lawyer says.
for my penis. Wow, this is actually going better than I thought. This little skit thing idea you had.
And we will always be searching. Go ahead and then read the next one.
It's big penis, George. They always find it, and I only love you because you're black.
And then he says, this is from Mazaris, and then you go from there. It's so annoying when you interject frivolity, snapped Mazaris.
True dat, N-word. but I'm done my rant.
Oh God. And he has this I think this is my favorite part. Hunter Biden kept a meme on his laptop. Now we know this. They have the laptop. This isn't some secondhand account or he said, she said. He kept a meme on the laptop that showed his father and former President Barack Obama embracing. The meme text reads, Obama, I'm going to miss you, man. Joe, can I say it just this once? Obama, sighs. Go ahead, Joe. You my N-word, Barack. He has that on like his laptop on his desktop. I mean, on his. This. And there are times it doesn't last long. I have this fleeting sympathy for Joe Biden because he has to deal with this. I can't imagine what a pain in the ass. What an awful kid Hunter Biden was. What a high maintenance kid. What a screwed up adult. What a terrible father. What a terrible son. What a terrible person Hunter Biden is. And he not only has to lie about him. I mean, Joe Biden calls this guy, this 50-year-old, 51-year-old degenerate, the smartest person I know. Now, I've heard a handful of interviews with him. I've read plenty of things he's written. I've seen many, many pictures. If this is the smartest person you know, you got to get out more. You got to meet more people. You're the president. I mean, you have been around some pretty smart people. You served with Obama. Obama, I think, was an awful president, but he's smart. You think Hunter Biden, this crackhead degenerate, is the smartest person you know? Let's go over the list once again. I know I've done this before, but it's worth doing. And when we're done, we'll ask, what do you think it would have been like if Donald Trump Jr., just picture Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or, Barron Trump, I don't care, Ivanka, anybody, Mike Pence kid had done this. Do you think the New York Times, the Washington Post, the CNN, the MSNBC, do you think they might have covered it today? Because I'm just going to guess. I'm going to guess this thing broke last night, right? Callahan, was this last night when
sometime in the afternoon, I believe. Yeah,
late yesterday. Hunter, that's true. It broke. I was watching during the 5, and Jesse Waters jumped in and said, "This is just breaking." Hunter Biden with his lawyer. So it broke like 6 o'clock almost yesterday, and I'm going to guess. I haven't done the thing, but you can find this, that none of the major networks touched it. They don't touch it. I flipped on.
Well, why would you touch this when you can play the Kid Rock video left and right?
We'll get to Kid Rock. We have, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 of the best, most amazing cancel culture stories. They just keep coming. Again, I've said this before, but I told you one day, we're going to do this. Don't miss these cancel. I mean, you can't keep track of them all. The cancel culture stories keep coming. I'm not sure, when it ends, when the pendulum swings the other way, but we'll get to those. Hunter, I flipped on CNN. I flipped on Don Lemon at whatever time that is, 10 something, to see if they were touching it. And he has a Capitol Hill policeman, Capitol Hill cop, who was, fighting the MAGA guys on January 6th. And he's this weird looking guy whose whole neck is tatted up, and he's a cop. And he's talking about how much PTSD he suffers from and how he's making it through therapy, and he doesn't know if he'll ever recover. And they show the video, and there's a little bit of a tussle with the MAGA guys, and they're pushing, and the guys are arrested, and they're held without bail, and they're probably going to jail. But he's a healthy looking guy, probably 35 years old. And apparently he's on Don Lemon all the time to update him on the stress and the horrors that he's living through because of that day, January 6th, 5+ months ago, and it's all they're doing on CNN. They're not talking about the latest Hunter Thompson, I keep saying Hunter Thompson, Hunter Biden texts, and you'll never ever see these people cover it. They just won't. Their whole life is covering for the current administration. Their whole life is making sure this huge news. I mean, let's be honest. If this again were Donald Trump Jr., there would be nothing else in the New York Times. It'd be like a special edition of the New York Times of the Washington Post today. But here's a quick rundown.
What do you do today? Thompson, what do you do today? Like text in private. Sorry, like, you're just an asshole. Like, what do you do? How do you like his text, covering the text? Like if you cover the text.
I mean, Daily Mail has a long story. I'm reading the New York Post. I mean, all the real newspapers consider it news, especially when his father has made it a cornerstone of his administration to divide the country by race, to make everything about race, to rail against white supremacy, to talk about systemic racism. Well, I would say, as I've asked before, where's the white supremacy? I'd say, where's the systemic racism? Again, it's in his household. Hunter Biden was kicked out of the Navy when he tested positive for drugs. I think he was only in there for a couple months. He only got into the Navy because his father used his influence to get him in after the age of 40. He didn't join the Navy till after he was 40, trying to make something of himself, and he immediately got kicked out because he tested positive for cocaine. He left his wife, and you can read all about his personal life on previous texts, left his wife to move in with his brother's widow. His brother Bo died. We know that. His brother Bo was the opposite, apparently, of Hunter. He was a respected, military officer, and he served in Iraq and apparently did things right, but he died of cancer and I believe brain tumor. And that, gave Hunter a big opportunity to get to move in with his brother's widow. Then he was cheating on his brother's widow with a number of females, including a stripper, knocked up the stripper, denied the stripper's baby was his. She had to force him to get a DNA test. They proved the kid was his. Then he refused to pay child support for his own child, the president's grandchild. She took him to court again to get him to pay for the child support for the child. And I believe he had to give her a lump sum. The court forced him. He claimed he didn't have the money, even though he was driving around in a Bentley and living in a place in LA that was like, $25,000 a month. He said he didn't have the money to support his own child. And if you think, it's just him, his dad, the president, still does not take responsibility for this child, still denies he has, I think he says he has 6 grandchildren and he has 7 or 5 and has 6 because he doesn't count the child of the stripper, even though it's his own blood, his own son knocked up the stripper. He got a gun. Hunter Biden got a gun. Seems like a good idea. Lied on the background check. You or I would have been in big trouble. But again, the Secret Service tried to fix the problem. They tried to get the application from the gun store. So the president wasn't at the time, used his influence to get the Secret Service to pull the gun permit and the application and cover up the fact that this druggie lied on the application. This doesn't even count, Tony Bobulinski and all the millions he brought in and kicked back to the big guy from the Ukraine, from Kazakhstan, from China. I mean, he is just the most corrupt, the most deviant, scummiest guy. And it's only just begun. I'm telling you, I know this. Miranda Devine knows this. Sean Hannity knows this. There's going to be more, much more, and it's going to be much worse. You're not going to believe. Again, the media won't cover it. They won't even mention it. They will cover up. That's their job, to cover up for the current president. Anything, whatever it takes to help him hurt Trump is what they're going to do. But if it's just the most glaring double standard you'll ever see. The story, the way he uses the N-word so flippantly and talks about all kinds of stereotypes, like talks about penis, talks about, how about the one saying, you better not charge me the Hennessy rate, N-word. And then I guess that means Hennessy, the liquor, the the cognac or whatever that black people like. That's that's a stereotype that he uses real flippantly. And then the lawyer says he hasn't heard that before, and he's proud of himself because I just made that up. Like, you're so smart. This is the smartest person Joe Biden knows. The guy who is in this exchange. And by the way, the guy who dropped off the laptop and never picked it up. I can tell you right now, Colleen, I know there's probably pictures of you out there.
Oh, sure.
Yes, with females, probably doing some, unnatural things with young females. You probably, weren't paying attention.
Everything was above board. Yeah, everything's above board. But
you Periscope drunk, so let's be honest. There's probably video of you out there too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'd lived dangerously a couple years. Sure. Go on. What else?
So someday, probably soon after you move on, you start your Barstool gig. These pictures will resurface. But then again, that's the place to work if you're going to get caught with naked photos, because your boss, the president of the company, El Prez, has been caught in compromising positions on video, and he just laughs it off. He handles it the way you should. But it's not going to be Hunter Biden naked in bed with his wife. That you could say, it's personal. It's going to be Hunter Biden naked in bed or whatever, on the couch with a crack pipe, with lines of coke, with more than one female, and you're going to wonder just how old she is. So that's coming. I can tell you right now, he's almost as old as I am. I can tell you 100% there's no naked picture of me out there anywhere, and there never will be. The idea of taking a picture of yourself, I don't care how drunk or stoned you are, taking a picture and not like knowing where it's going, not deleting it immediately, and actually putting it on a laptop and then turning the laptop in and not going to pick it up because you really don't care.
Well, I think a lot of this is coming. Obviously, they're getting this from the text messages that came from all the text messages are being picked up from the computer, right? So anything he texted with his phone, then transferred over to the computer. So I can actually listen. I've made some mistakes in my life. Let me get ahead of all this stuff. I've made some mistakes. I could totally see, all this stuff playing out exactly the way it is. He should have absolutely found a way to get that fucking laptop. You've convinced me to go get my laptop that I left at the technician a couple months ago. So
obviously he, has ways to get to sleep. I mean, obviously he's stoned, he's drunk, he's passing out. I can't imagine, even if you were a total deviant, not tossing and turning every night, knowing what's out there. He knows what's out there. He knows what's coming. He knows, obviously, the media has his back. They will cover up whatever, even if one of those girls is in his bed is dead, they will cover it up. There is no limit to the lengths the media will go to help Joe Biden and help Hunter Biden. But do you imagine having this stuff out there, knowing it's going to go public at some point, knowing a woman from the New York Post has a book coming out called The Laptop from Hell? He knows what's coming. I can't imagine. And he can still sit there and giggle with Jimmy Kimmel. I guess he's a sociopath. So it's not really got him too worried or too upset. There were pictures of him in his L.A. place, in the mansion in L.A., in his Bentley, going out to Starbucks for coffee. Thinks he's Ben Affleck. But it must be tough. And I have no sympathy, obviously, but knowing that what's coming is worse than what we've seen already, knowing the texts, knowing the photos, knowing the drugs, the women, hell, just the thought of the world seeing you naked, wouldn't that be disturbing? Wouldn't you have trouble getting to sleep at night knowing that's out there? But thoughts and prayers to Hunter, the poor guy.
How are they getting? I can't even remember. And now we're just talking about, they just report the text because they're insane, but it's Giuliani's team who's leaking this stuff, right?
I'm not sure how it works. It's a good question. I read the Daily Mail. Everyone's picking up on the Daily Mail. So I guess Giuliani has it. Yep, has it. It was sitting on his desk when the FBI raided Giuliani's apartment. He offered to give it to him, and they said, "No, we don't need that. We're only interested in your stuff." And he's like, "There's a lot of stuff, a lot of criminal activity on that hard drive, and they weren't interested." So,
and what's the benefit of leaking it now? It did.
Good question. I don't know. You're asking me questions, and I don't know the answer. I just read the Post version.
Yeah.
They just give all the credit to the Daily Mail for releasing it, and I assume if you're Giuliani or you're, New York Post, Miranda Devine, you're doing it in dribs and drabs to stay in the news, to she'll be trying to sell a book. Giuliani's trying to destroy the Biden family, and they got some real. I mean, have you ever heard of Better Dirt? They have photographs. They have text. The only defense you get, and I'll get it today on the comment line. I'll get it on Twitter, saying he's not president. I didn't vote for Hunter Biden. Well, you voted for the guy who's covering up for Hunter Biden. You voted for the guy who, by the way, lied about not knowing Hunter's business. I mean, it was obviously a lie from the beginning. Joe Biden said he flew to China on Air Force Two when Hunter made that big deal for $1.5 billion with the Chinese bank. He said he flew there, flew home, and never talked to Hunter about his business. I mean, some lies are more subtle than others. That's not even subtle. That's insane. You don't fly with your son for however long that is, 12 hours, oh no, more than that, 20 hours, and never talk about why he's going there. It's just absurd. And again, if there were media in this country, if it weren't just the New York Post and Fox News, everybody would be asking that question. How could you fly to China and never ask your own son why he's going there? Wouldn't that be if you sit with a stranger, I hate it, but sometimes you sit with a stranger and they go, business or pleasure, or why are you going to Seattle? I mean, that's the first question you ask. He's literally on the plane with his father, and his father claims he never asked about the business, why he was making this trip. And that's obviously a lie, but he was caught on camera with, I believe, someone from Kazakhstan and Ukraine in 2015. Joe Biden had met with them to help his son, make all these dirty deals. So he lied about that, but nobody cares. It's okay. We're fundamentally transforming the country. So leave him alone and let him get to work. And I'm just going to say, we're going to make this transition here, Callahan. I'm not a big Joe Biden fan. I think I'm now going to wish him well. I'm going to hope for the best, because the idea of the president, the idea of this person who was in Guatemala and Mexico City yesterday or this week being the president and being celebrated. I can't look at Kamala Harris. I can look at Joe Biden, and sometimes it's uncomfortable because he loses his way and he struggles with the teleprompter, but I can't look at Kamala Harris. I can't do it. I mean, I know most of the country agrees with me. Most of the country realizes that she is just the most cringy, just the most unlikable, unnatural, unauthentic human being. I know how she got there, but it still amazes me. We just, reviewed Hunter Biden's recent history, and certainly Kamala Harris is not a degenerate deviant like Hunter, but she is this creation of the media and of the system. And I was going back and forth with some people on Twitter about this last night, because the person you saw, and we'll get to the Lester Holt interview, which again, everything she does, I mean, the press conference in Guatemala, the press conference in Mexico City, this sit down with one of her big fans, Lester Holt, was incredibly uncomfortable when she's sitting there with a partisan, with a supporter, Lester Holt, who asks an obvious question. She can't handle it. I'll get to that one second. And I look at her and I go, how could anyone vote for her? Then I remember no one did. I mean, no one did. The first female, the first Black, the first Southeast Asian vice president, soon to be the first Black female president, soon to be our 47th president. Everybody knows that she will ascend to the office I gave it a year and a half, sometime in the next 3 years. Joe Biden will step down. Kamala Harris will step up. That's the plan. She's going to be president. And nobody voted for her. I mean, nobody voted for her. She didn't even make it to the primaries when she ran in 2018. Yeah, I guess it was the fall of 2018, heading into the primaries of 2019, heading into the primaries of 2020. She had zero support. She was trailing Andrew Yang and Liz Warren in California in the polls, her home state. She got no support. She dropped out in, I believe, December. The first primary obviously was in February, She never made it to Iowa, never made it to New Hampshire. She was that unpopular. She didn't even run in a single primary. She didn't even compete in her home state. She was, as I pointed out, there was a poll at the time, just before she bowed out, among black voters. She trailed Liz Warren, the lightest, whitest person besides you or me, Callahan. Liz Warren was more popular among black voters than the first black vice president. So she doesn't, nobody likes her. Nobody likes her. That's a fact. Nobody supports her. Nobody. And yet she was chosen because Biden promised a black female. I'm telling you how the country would be much different right now, much different and better off, is if Biden chose Tulsi Gabbard. People, moderates like Tulsi Gabbard, she sometimes goes against her own party. She sometimes has an independent thought, and they don't allow that. But it would be so different if she were vice president. You would say that person is genuine. That person is real. She has real, thoughts and opinions. No one thinks that about Kamala Harris. Everyone knows she's as phony as they come. I mean, she makes Liz Warren look genuine. It is creepy how phony she is. And by the way, she is so protected, so insulated, that when she does step out of the bubble, and we know she went she's going on 77 days, I believe, since she was named the czar of the border. She's in charge of the border because Joe Biden knows it's a mess and doesn't want to get anything on him. So she said, that's up to her. That's her job. And she didn't like that. She doesn't want to go to the border. She doesn't want to have any pictures of her amid the chaos at the border. She doesn't want, these children in cages to be seen in the same photo with her or in the same story with her. So she said, no, I'm not going to the border. And she still refuses to go to the border. She went to Guatemala. She went to Mexico City. She won't go to the Rio Grande. And we know why. She doesn't want to be seen there, but she can't admit that. And there's a reason she doesn't do press conferences. There's a reason she doesn't do interviews, because even with a friendly interviewer, even with someone like Lester Holt, who supports her 100%, she is so uncomfortable and so disingenuous that you can't watch this and not just cringe. But let's listen now to Kamala Harris with Lester Holt, and consider this as you watch. She knew before this, her people knew that Lester Holt had to ask the question of, like, why haven't you been to the border and when are you going to the border? That's an obvious question. You can only ask so many questions about your Chuck Taylors or about, your favorite ice cream or whatever, the typical question that you get from the mainstream media. She knew he had to ask, and she was so ill prepared. You wonder if she's not up for the job. She appears to be not up for the job of vice president. God knows she's not up for the job of president. But answer me this as she sits down. Why couldn't she be ready for this? Why didn't she have an answer ready for her friend Lester Holt?
We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
That is so insane. It's not a huge deal because everything she says is fake and phony, but no, you haven't been to the border. Just have a reason that you haven't been to the border. Don't say I've been to the border when you haven't been to the border. And what does Europe have to do with it? Can you explain that to me? That was so bizarre. I haven't been to Europe. And Lester Holt's like, I'm trying to help you. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm trying to help you. Why can't you just answer the questions? Just say you're going to the border next week. They won't hold you to it if you don't go. These are your supporters. She can't handle a simple question about the border. We know why she's not going. She doesn't have to tell the truth and say, I don't want to go because it's a mess. We have to go to Guatemala. Guatemala has nothing to do with the current chaos at the border. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it's untenable. Everyone knows she doesn't want to be associated with it. But what the hell does Europe have to do with it? I've never been to Europe. This is supposed to be a really smart, a really capable person. It's not. She's not. This is not presidential material. And yet she's going to be president, and the media will just fall over themselves. They're just so excited. Somebody played a montage last night of all the celebration when she was named VP, and every single person just said, first woman, first black, first Southeast Asian, first whatever. First, I mean, it's just, it doesn't, nothing matters except identity politics. Nothing matters except her race and her sex or gender. It's like, it doesn't matter that she's not that smart or articulate or honest or genuine. It's all irrelevant. And it's a sad state, a sad commentary in the country that this person is a heartbeat, a shaky heartbeat away from the presidency, and she can't answer a simple question. Why haven't you been to the border? I've been to the border. No, you haven't. She's sitting there. You can see it. You can hear it. She's thinking, you're on my side. You're supposed to be helping me. What are you doing here, Lester? And he's like, I got to ask one obvious question. Why haven't you been to the border? We've been to the border. We've been to the border. We've been to the border. What? Oh, God, I can't imagine listening to that for whatever, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, whatever. That person is not supposed to be the vice president. No one supported her. Democrats didn't support her. Black people didn't support her. Whites, women didn't support her. Nobody supported her. Nobody. She was a terrible choice, and she now looks like an even worse choice. And they're going to have to do some serious damage control. I know she's been on the cover of Vogue and Vanity Fair, but that is cringy, and that's NBC. That's not Tucker Carlson. They're going to have to really.
And it should have been a lot more cringy. Like, he should have just stayed. Like, he should have stayed with that and kept asking questions on that.
Well, he did, and guess what she did? Laughed.
Yeah.
Laughed.
Yep.
It's the most uncomfortable thing in the world. She laughs at everything. She giggles and laughs hysterically at everything, and you go, "Wait a second, can't you just? Is that so hard to control? Like, don't laugh. I mean, doesn't her handler say, don't laugh? Even if you think it's funny, don't laugh. Smile.
Well, right. Just don't laugh. Just lie. Just say, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Don't laugh. Just lie. If you're handle, that's what you say.
Yes.
Just say, I'm on my way to the border. I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. Even if you're not, so what? They don't hold you to this stuff. Why laugh? She laughs at everything. It's so uncomfortable. I'm telling you, I don't like her, and I still feel bad. I'm like, oh, geez, what are you doing? Just get through this. I mean, Liz Warren would have been better. You name the woman that you would have considered Kristen Gillibrand. Anybody would have been better. And there's got to be, Stacey Abrams. There's black women who would have been better. This woman is, Stacey Abrams is obnoxious, but she doesn't laugh at everything, and she doesn't seem totally, completely fake, phony, whatever. But it's not going to go away. It's going to continue. She's not going to do a lot of interviews unless it's, with whatever, Nickelodeon or something. She can giggle and show you her kicks. But God, is she cringy. Speaking of cringy, this is, we should do the New York Times explanation, defense of Mara Gay. But first, this was a huge day or huge week for cancel culture, as I pointed out. And there are, we got at least 3 examples. We talked a lot about Chris Harrison in the past, but Chris Harrison is officially out at The Bachelor. And let me say this. He did nothing. He did nothing. He didn't deserve it. He did nothing. In case you forget. Now, history, you'll think, oh, he said something racist. He did something racist, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So they gave him the boot after 20 seasons. That isn't true. There are some people who literally did nothing to get canceled. We mentioned the Sacramento Kings play-by-play guy who was trying to be conciliatory. He said all lives matter. Got fired for saying all lives matter. There's some things that you just say, the bassist for Mumford & Sons, we mentioned him, who recommended a book by Andy Ngo about Antifa. That's it. Read a book and then recommended it. Got kicked out of the band that he co-founded. That could top my list. I'm going to make my list one of these days, but it just keeps growing, of insane cancel culture examples, of insane cancel culture stories. Chris, the thing that these people have in common, the next Ellie Kemper, Chris Harrison, is you can't feel sorry for them because of the way they react. I mean, Chris Harrison gave the most pathetic apology. First of all, he did nothing. We'll play it, but quick review. A black, a white, what do you call the women, the contestants on The Bachelorette? The Bachelor.
Oh, Bachelorette. One of the Bachelorettes. Yep.
One of the Bachelorettes, McConnell, she went to a debutante ball. We've gone over this already. One of these Southern themed balls that they have in frats and sororities. Just went to one as a student, as a kid. I think she was 21 or 2, and got caught. Obviously, pictures. Obviously, she's a racist. She's worse than Hunter Biden. He defended her by asking for grace, asking for forgiveness. He was delivering this, this Christian message of forgiveness. That is it. He was trying to, to reach out, to show some sympathy, show some heart. That's it. That's it. He did nothing else. For that, he lost his job, temporarily booted off the show, and then permanently booted this week. His apology for doing nothing wrong, by the way. At this point, Chris Harrison should have known that it was over, and he should have fought back or at least defended himself and said, all I did was ask for forgiveness for this woman, for this kid who did something dumb. That's it.
He's speaking so casually too. It's not some like crazy passionate defense. Right. It's a casual conversation. I'll play it for you right now.
What are your thoughts about Rachel Kirkconnell and the allegations attached to her?
A couple of things. First and foremost, I don't know. I haven't talked to Rachel about it. And this is, again, where we all need to have a little grace, a little understanding, a little compassion, because I've seen some stuff online. Again, this judge, jury, executioner thing where people are just tearing this girl's life apart. And
that's it. Just asking a little grace.
A little grace, little compassion, little understanding. That's it. That got him canceled. That is it. So you have to have, and then his apology. Do you have his apology? Because this is the ultimate in groveling, the ultimate mistake, by the way, because you knew it wasn't going to save him.
Oh, this isn't Drew Brees, though. Come on.
That's true. Oh, you're right on that
one. Let's give him,
And by the way, I think Chris Harrison only did it once. Drew Brees went on an apology tour and apologized for saying he would never kneel for the anthem. That's it. So you're right. I apologize. My mistake. The most pathetic apology ever is Drew Brees, but right up there, top 5, is this squish, Chris Harrison, who's apologizing, like Brees, for nothing.
A lot of people, and I'm wondering, why would you defend Rachel Kirkconnell?
It was a mistake. I made a mistake. I am an imperfect man. I made a mistake, and I own that.
Oh, God. He goes on and on. And doesn't he sound like one of the televangelists, like Tammy Faye Baker? I mean, he sounds like genuinely like he did something. He did something. Instead of saying, what the hell should I apologize for? I just defended this dumb kid who went to the debutante party or whatever. That's all. I'm trying to show a little compassion, a little grace. I'm not going to join the mob and ask for her, head on a stick. Instead, he did that. So you can have no sympathy for him. And yesterday, I guess it became official. And I again, if you have a little sympathy for him, that's probably going to go out the window when you find out that he got a 8-figure settlement, is the report. 8-figure settlement. And what did you say? Barstool's reporting is 25 million?
No, I've seen other places 25 million, which seems probably more accurate. I saw a video KFC put out said 50. I don't think he made 50 million.
I don't even understand why you would have to give him that kind of money. I mean, can't you just say it was in this day and age? It's cause he did something racist. Anyway, he walks away with 25 million. I never even heard of him. I never knew who he was till a couple.
Oh, that's nonsense. He was a monster. Bachelor probably makes crazy money. He was making.
I'm sure it does, but I don't know. I didn't know who he was. I never watched. My wife and daughter watched it sometimes, and I would just I had to leave the room. God, I hate it. I hate that freaking show. Hate it. So I don't feel bad for this idiot who groveled and begged and lost his job anyway.
But he played hardball, by the way. Did you read that aspect? He threatened to tell ABC executives through the negotiation. He threatened to give all their dirty little secrets out if they didn't pay him. Like, he played legit hardball to get this $25 billion. So more power to him there.
All right, let's do Ellie Kemper here before I get to Shay. Let's do Ellie Kemper, because you're a big fan of Ellie Kemper. I didn't even know who she was. I mean, I watch The Office because my son is one of these Office fanatics who's seen every episode like 10 times. I don't sit and watch it, but it's on TV at home a lot.
I did an Office theme proposal to my wife, by the way, just to let you know.
Did not.
When I proposed to my wife, yes, I did. I don't know if I've told the roommate story, but I haven't told.
Do you have it memorized now to this day? Can you remember what you said?
Oh no, I don't remember what I said. I just it was like an Office theme thing, but whatever.
So your wife is into it too?
Oh, obsessed with you.
I'll say this. I like The Office. I'm not one of these fanatics. It's certainly better than The Bachelor. I recognize her. I see her. Oh yeah, that's initially when they said it's an Office actress is in trouble, I thought it was the chick from St. Louis that's always with John Krasinski.
Yep.
That woman then ends up dating the guy down in the warehouse. That whatever. What's her name? She's,
Pam Beasley.
Yeah, Pam. Right. It's not. It's Ellie Kemper. And this is so bizarre. I tried to read up and try to understand it because this was in 1999, I believe, when she was 19 years old. She went to a weird ball. Again, one of these balls. And let me get this story. The name of the ball is the creepiest part, to be honest with you. Let's get the name of it. She went to this. They decided it was racist and sexist and everything else. She was part of it. Anyway, went to this weirdo ball where it had a history. It went back like hundreds of years. A tradition of, and in the past, it was a Missouri debutante ball. Damn it! I want to get the name of it because it's so weird. Here it is. The Veiled Prophet Ball. Now that sounds like some kind of weirdo devil worshiping thing. The Veiled Prophet Ball, and Kemper won. She was named Queen of Love and Beauty. All right, I'm going to give you this. This is a creepy thing, man. This is a creepy thing. But
do you think it's that extreme? Like it's just a pageantry.
22 years ago, right? She's 40 now.
But in all the story, she wasn't like a part of the organization in any way. It's just a ball that she entered. That's like saying
the ball was founded by Missouri elites, including a Confederate soldier, and was a bastion of conservatism that stood in opposition to social change, including racial equality. This is from a CNN story. But this was a CNN writer who defended her and pointed out that most institutions that have been around for whatever 200 years have a, shall we say, a checkered past. I mean, and points out that the church that the president allegedly belongs to, he doesn't really, but, the Catholic Church, the Southern Baptist Church, the Mormon churches, these all have a history of, shall we say, racial inequality. Colleges, Princeton, Yale's named for a slave trader. So if someone went to Yale, like, John Kerry or, Clinton, I mean, should they be forced to apologize for participating, for associating themselves with a racist institution? Because that's all this is. This place, came clean in 79. I guess that's really late, but they desegregated the ball, and they now have black and Hispanic and Asian and everything else. And they have denounced their own past, kind of what churches do and other institutions, colleges do. So what's the difference? Why should Kemper? In fact, she should be less culpable because she was a dumb kid in a beauty contest, which means by definition, you're just a brainless, body who goes on and says, look at me, aren't I beautiful, aren't I glamorous? It's got no substance to it. Anyway, it's not like you swear an oath to the veiled prophets. It's just a kid joining a ball, winning the contest, being the most beautiful person.
I think your examples with like Yale and whether it be the Masters or something like that, whatever that column is recommending there as examples, I think those are extreme. We're talking about she entered just a random ass ball. I bet she did 10 other ones. It's like playing in a basketball tournament growing up, and you don't know, somebody organized it, but you don't need to know the history.
You're right. You're playing something that's sponsored by, I don't know, the Elks or the Lions Club, and they say, oh, that club, 80 years ago was racially
run by a racist. Then you
segregated. Yeah, sure. The guy who was running that chapter of the Lions Club was a racist. And you go, I didn't know that. I mean, he's not around anymore, but the Veiled Prophet, it's called the Veiled Prophet Organization, says our organization believes and promotes inclusion, diversity, equality. It doesn't matter. She was targeted, which means the Twitter mob went after her, and she had to issue an apology. And by the way, she is a hardcore liberal. I mentioned this yesterday. I saw her donations. She has donated a fortune to every Democrat cause and every political action committee and every candidate. She's a hardcore Democrat, and she had to issue a groveling apology, which is pathetic. This is the point, and I realize Ellie Kemper or Chris Harris is not the best candidate for this, that someone has to stand up and say, are you kidding me? What did I didn't do anything. I'm not racist. The ball had nothing to, first of all, I was a teenager. Secondly, I didn't know there was some history of some Confederate soldier being one of the founders of the ball. How the hell would I know that? I'm supposed to, research that when I'm, 17 years old. It's just madness. But it's not going to end. Again, the people in November, 80 million people voted for cancel culture. They believe in cancel culture. It only works one way. There are, every time I tweet about this, or we talk about it, I get people saying, what about Liz Cheney? Liz Cheney didn't lose her job. I mean, she's a congressman. The people of Wyoming will get a chance to vote her out, I hope, but she didn't lose her job. She lost her position in is a leader in leadership because she disagreed with just about everybody in the caucus. So that's not canceling someone. And I was tweeting back and forth with a guy who said, what about Nike? People have boycotted. Nike has not been deplatformed. You can still buy their stuff in any and every store. Amazon hasn't canceled them, even though they support a ruthless communist regime that puts people in concentration camps. Nike hasn't been canceled. And the guy writes, yeah, what about Colin Kaepernick? That is the single worst example of cancel culture there's ever been. He wasn't canceled by anyone, just the opposite. He quit on the NFL. He could have gone back to the NFL. He chose to be a martyr. He supports cop killers. He hates cops. He had the pig socks. He wishes happy birthday to a woman who killed a cop in cold blood. He salutes anybody that hates cops. That he supports people who've murdered cops, and yet Nike still pays him. He still is in commercials. He still is one of the darlings of the media. Colin Kaepernick hasn't been canceled by anybody. It's a terrible example. Once again, cancel culture only works one way. Conservatives don't get canceled, as a rule, just because they're conservatives. I mean, I don't think Ellie Kemper is going to get canceled. It's so silly. It's so stupid. And Chris Harrison is kind of viewed as someone, because I don't watch the show, but someone said he's viewed as kind of a conservative guy, a Christian kind of guy. He's that kind of guy. And
only now because of this.
That's what he sounded like when he asked for grace. He sounded kind of Christian. He's not viewed as a hardcore liberal. He's not like, Joy Behar. Joy Behar could do anything, say anything, and she won't be canceled. It'll never happen because she is a hardcore liberal. I'm not sure what Kelly Stewart is, to get to our next cancellation. Kelly Stewart was also known as Kelly in Vegas. This is a bizarre story. She was fired by ESPN last week because of 9-year-old tweets that were homophobic. I'm going to guess she just used homophobic slurs. I haven't seen the tweets yet, but homophobic slurs, and she blames it on Twitter trolls who were attacking her, and she lost her cool and fought back. But here's the weird part. Kelly, if you don't know, she was a betting analyst, which is an up-and-coming field, which means you're not going to see the last of Kelly in Vegas. That's her Twitter handle. Her name is Kelly Stewart. She worked at other places, including Bleacher Report. Is that where she was? They found out about the tweets. They suspended her at, I think it was Bleacher Report. So she paid a price. And then she left that place for ESPN. ESPN knew about it and hired her. A month later, somehow, I guess there was some pressure from somebody, and they fired her for 9-year-old tweets after they hired her, knowing those 9-year-old tweets were out there and she already was punished for them. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Callahan?
Yes. She
right?
basically said she had been suspended during her run. Yeah. So she kind of acknowledged that because the early reports didn't say that ESPN hired her knowing that, but they reported like she deleted.
How could they not if she was suspended and they knew whatever. If they didn't know about it, it's amazing because she was suspended. She apologized. She moved on for these 9-year-old tweets. It's just amazing. You know, you can be at ESPN. You can be Mark Jones at ESPN. If you don't know, he's a play-by-play guy who hates cops and said he didn't want to have a police escort to his games, which is bizarre anyway. But they got police escorts to do college football games. He said he didn't want one because he's afraid one of the cops would kill him. That guy's in good standing. He's got no problem at ESPN. You could be as radical as, you know, Max Kellerman. It doesn't matter, but you're got a 9-year-old tweet, which apparently had some homophobic slur, and you can't work there as a betting analyst in Vegas. So she's out on her ass, and I'll give her credit for this much. She apologized again, but she said she said ESPN notified me that they're terminating my contract due to deleted tweets from 2012. I know the words I used are unacceptable and hurtful, and I'm terribly sorry for this lapse in judgment, but I cannot apologize for standing up to these vicious attacks I, like so many female personalities, endure from anonymous online trolls. I wish ESPN had been willing to stand behind me, particularly because I'd already been suspended for these tweets by another company. I cannot control their decision. I can only say I'm sorry for the person I was and some of the mistakes I made in my youth. It is amazing. She must have thought I got through that storm. You know, I weathered that storm. I got suspended. I deleted the tweets. I've moved on. But someone came up and said, wait a second, ESPN, look what this person did 9 years ago. And they fired her. It's just such a terrible precedent. I realize.
I wonder, and I always wonder in these situations, like how many tweets was ESPN getting about her old tweets? Do you know what I mean? Like, what was the
many? It can't be many. It's as you know, it's activists. It's people who do this for a life. It's these sleeping giants, these Bob Murchisons, these Media Matters people. That's what they do, and they take, you know, they're like the cops who put the solved, you know, cases on the wall. They put that up there. Another pelt. We got Kelly from Vegas, a gambling analyst who tweeted some slur 9 years ago. How old is Kelly? We got to get Kelly's age because I want to know how old she was when she did this. Find out how old she is, and I'll tell you about someone who will not be canceled for the same thing. And I'll tell you why. Because Kid Rock is never going to apologize for anything. Kid Rock used a racial slur on stage the other day. Kid Rock, I mean, actually saying Kid Rock used a slur, I mean, does that seem like even news? That's like saying the sun came up, the water is wet. Kid Rock was trying to sing at this redneck bar, and he was probably drunk. He always kind of sounds and looks drunk. And I'm trying to, what was the name of the bar he was at? And you can't play this, right? Or can you? Is it bleeped out?
I can play it. It's bleeped out. By the way, Kelly's 37, so she was in her late 20s when this happened.
Yeah, she says her youth. It wasn't her youth.
And by the way, the reason this probably spawned, the initial reports that I saw where she deleted some tweets earlier that were this year about COVID and COVID kind of denial and stuff like that. I guarantee you somebody who saw that was that's the impetus that kind of sets people off in the moment, and then they just attack.
But again, she's a gambling analyst in Vegas telling people to take the under. Yep. I mean, take the points on Texas A&M and Texas A&M this week because of whatever. That you can't do that job at ESPN because you tweeted 9 years ago at some troll. Again, she's apologized for it. She's been suspended for it. At some point, you have to make a living. It's like I said about Michael Vick or Anthony Weiner. I mean, you go to prison. That's for what you did. You get out of prison. Unless you're a murderer, you do get a chance to do your job, to live your life, don't you? I mean, I hate to sound soft here, but at what point do you say, okay, they paid a price, they can get off the mat now, they can go back to work as a gambling analyst or a brainless host of some stupid reality show, you can't ban a person
give
like
her
this
give her an opportunity to apologize publicly, back her as an employee, and just see what happens after that. It's just to my point earlier. They probably just said, "I got 5 tweets. It's not worth my time. See you later." She's not bringing any revenue in. It's a shame.
It's not important enough, but I mean, there's such a double standard. I point out that there are so many people at ESPN who could say whatever they want because they're on the right side of the aisle. And I don't know that Kelly from Vegas is political at all, but you're right, she's expendable. I never even heard of her. Didn't know who she was, even though she's worked for a few places, and she had a nice niche. There aren't a lot of female handicappers, doing and analyzing, point spreads, and that's as you know, an up and coming field with all the sponsors and all the gamblers that are out there. You know what? Maybe she'll end up with you at Barstool. Maybe.
But it's also let her find. Now you just ruined her reputation. It's all over the internet. She can't. It's literally, this is the height of finding an opportunity in her field, in that niche, right? Like, this is perfect timing for her to potentially be looking for a new gig. But you just ruined her reputation. You will no longer be able to Google her name without seeing a million articles. She is officially unemployable because you just didn't let her leave quietly.
It would have to, right? It have to be some real. You ever see these shows where you're flipping around and there's just some show from Vegas and it's just 2 guys with a big screen behind them with all the point spreads, and they're saying, I would 3-team parlay, and they were hardcore in the mud gamblers. It'd be one of those things that they could give a damn whether she said some slur 9 years ago. But ESPN was probably her dream job. It was probably, she was probably thinking, I got through this, I'm all set, and they kick her in the teeth a month after hiring her. It's despicable, like all these things. And at least she qualified her apology and just said, I thought ESPN had my back. They probably told her they did. They lied. The mob came for her. And you're right, Callahan, she was expendable.
Yep.
Do we have time for this quickly? I want to do Kid Rock. I'm not going to defend Kid Rock. I'm going to say Kid Rock is a person who will never, ever apologize to the mob. He could do the dumbest thing, the most offensive thing. He's not going to grovel. He's never going to do what Chris Harrison does. Maybe that's an extreme example, but Kid Rock was getting, he wasn't heckled, although it's probably worse than heckled. He was singing at what's the hillbilly bar? I got to get the name because it's.
I would have thought it would have been at his bar. He owns a place.
It wasn't his bar, but it was another bar called Fish Lips Bar and Grill in Smithville, Tennessee. And he's there, big crowd, no masks, of course. I don't think they ever wore masks at Kid Rock's. What is his bar called? Kid Rock's Badass Bar or something. And he was up singing, and people kept taking pictures. His bar is called the Kid Rock's Big Ass Honky Tonk Rock and Roll Steakhouse. That is perfect. And he's done other things. He's ripped, as this story mentions, Joy Behar and Kathy Lee Gifford on camera. He swears. So he gets people who are taking his picture and recording him. He doesn't like that, doesn't want that. And he starts flipping them off and saying, F you and F your cell phone. But in the midst of his rant, he lets slip a very common homophobic slur. So this made, and I just Googled it, it's everywhere. It's Yahoo and CNN and everywhere else. So you can play it with the thing bleeped out?
They bleep it out, I believe.
Let's
Fuck your iPhone, You can post this dick right now. You fucking but with your phones in my future.
I think he did it multiple times.
I mean, I think there's a lot of profanities, but there's one you can say, one you can't. And he's unlike Morgan Wallen, who, by the way, has performed even after he got excommunicated. I believe he's performed at Kid Rock's bar. Morgan Wallen never will recover with the slur that he yelled to his friend while drunk. And he did it in the same context as Hunter Biden, by the way. People who want to cancel Morgan Wallen are pretty quiet when it comes to Hunter Biden. Did the same thing. Used the N-word trying to be cool with his friend. Morgan Wallen got canceled by everybody, and except his his customers, except his fans, but all the award shows and advertisers canceled Morgan Wallen. I'm not sure Kid Rock is cancelable now. He is a fabulously rich, wealthy, famous. Hell, he was at the White House with Sarah Palin and Ted Nugent one night visiting Donald Trump, and he won't ever apologize. And I saw on Twitter a few things. People said, "Oh, he used a slur," and I'm going, "Do you know who you're talking about? You're talking about Kid Rock. Do you know what he's? Have you heard his songs? I mean, he has a song called
his debut album was unbelievable. What a phase of music! That was my prime. I loved his first album.
Really? I mean, he has a song called FOAD, the letters FOAD, and it's a real song with real lyrics, and the chorus is "fuck off and die." That's about his old girlfriend, and that's what he sings over and over again. He's got another one which says, I'm a bad, I mean, half his songs, I'm a bad MFer. And I mean, that's what he does. He swears.
Can we talk about his gentle side a little bit? That song with Sheryl Crow is top of the charts for like weeks. That was beautiful. Months.
It's just called Picture. It's great. He's very, very creative, and he's very talented. And
come on, let's be honest. Now he's a cartoon character. He turned into him and Ted Nugent. So he's in categories with Ted Nugent now.
Yeah, but he loves America. You heard his song "Born Free," saluting America. He's just an aberration in that business, and I do think he's so big now. He's so wealthy that so famous that he does not care. And you will see some people, go after him, and he will just laugh at them. He'll flip them the finger just like he did to those people with the iPhones, which I'm not defending Kid Rock. I'm saying that's what you should have done, Chris Harrison. You should have given him the finger and said you did nothing wrong. Same with you, Ellie Kemper.
Can I give it? By the way, anybody who's going to apologize for the future? Ignorance is acceptable. By the way, like when your apology says ignorance is not. No. It is the most acceptable, actually. If you
ignorance from a teenager, I would say. I mean, ignorance from a teenager. There's a lot of these people, and we've seen it before, where they like the kid who in Iowa, the football fan that donated his thing to the hospital, and you got a Bud Light for a year or something, and they found offensive tweets, and the writer who attacked him, they immediately looked at his tweets, and he tweeted worse things. I mean, you got to look in the mirror before you start saying, let's cancel this person for appearing at a debutante ball, which he was 19 years old, with no understanding of what the ball stood for or who founded the damn thing. Again, as this CNN person points out, and I'm pretty sure there's a liberal, she's writing for CNN, are you going to ask Joe Biden about the Catholic Church? Are you going to ask Joe Biden about Pennsylvania, Penn, which has his, stuff, or you're going to ask the Clintons about Yale or Harvard or Princeton? I mean, there are a lot of institutions with a, shall we say, an outdated past or a checkered past. And just because you went there doesn't mean that you are responsible or that you were aware of everything that went on there 200 years ago. But anyway, everyone knows that. We're all talking to the choir. Everyone knows how ridiculous it is that Ellie Kemper had to apologize and Chris Harrison had to beg for mercy, and Kelly in Vegas is unemployed now because of a 9-year-old tweet. We all know that, but we didn't have time to get to the New York Times pathetic defense of Mara Gay. But it was good to see, Callahan, that after we did this yesterday morning, it was everywhere. The Mara Gay video of her saying how scared she was, how traumatized she was by American flags and pickup trucks on Long Island. She is a joke. The New York Times is a joke. We all know that. But it was good to see that everyone picked up on it. And the New York Times was forced to issue a statement lying about her intention or meaning behind her words. But that's what they do. That's what they do. Anyway, we will leave it there. Thanks to DCU and Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. Thanks to everyone listening and watching and commenting on YouTube. Anything else, Colin? What did we miss?
No, but can I just? Did you see that Ricky Fowler missed? He missed qualification for the U.S. Open.
Not?
Oh God, you can't lose big names for a major. Yikes!
Ricky Fowler's such a TV star, and the kids love him. I've mentioned before when down at Connecticut, when we used to go down there for that big PGA tournament. It was the Hartford Open, then it became different sponsors. Anyway, there'd be kids all dressed in orange just looking just like Ricky Fowler. He's got for a guy who's never won big, never won a major. He is quite the TV star, and he probably makes more money than most of the major winners because he's so marketable. But that is too bad for the U.S. Did he miss qualification?
I don't see as much of that going around. This is a big kind of Brooks, Bryson, that little.
That's true.
Who's asking the PGA to help him with this little rift that he has with.
Right. If the PGA is, if the U.S. Open is lucky, Bryson and Brooks will be together on Sunday. That would be the greatest thing for the game of golf because they genuinely hate each other and they're both genuine studs. That would be a great mano a mano on a Sunday, even if they're not the final group, just to see them playing together. That's too bad about Ricky, but hey, he wouldn't win anyway. He never wins. He just looks good. He just looks good. But anyway, good luck to your Bruins tonight, Callahan.
Yes. I'm a little nervous about this one. I don't know why.
They're down 3-2. They're on the road. Tuca is back in net, correct?
It's not confirmed, but he better be. I'm a Tuca guy. I'm a Tuca guy. Stick with him.
Do you think it's Tuca's last game in a Bruins uniform? If he's
I think no matter what, it's Tuca's last professional. This season is Tuca's last professional hockey season. I don't know why. It's just a gut
season anywhere. You don't think he's going to play anywhere?
Yeah, I just think he's fed up with it, like mentally. I know he's admitted to having some mental health problems. I know, obviously, you remember what was happening with the pandemic bubble and all that shit when he left the team. And I don't know. He just doesn't strike me as somebody that. I think he'll play the season and leave. I don't think he cares about the money.
Well, I'll be watching. As I said, elimination games, nothing better. These are great entertainment. It is great entertainment. And if he gets pulled for Swayman, that'll be the biggest story in your world. That will rock your world, Callahan.
Yep.
Are you going to be
for the right reasons? By the way, though, for the right reason. They tried to play injury the other night. If they pull him because he sucks, that's gonna. Oh God! Hopefully, it's the last game at the Coliseum ever. Actually,
will you be pounding the Pink Whitneys and tweeting? Unintelligibly?
No, someone got in my head the other night and said that I was a jinx because the whole thing turned around when I was tweeting the other night. So I'm actually not going to tweet about the Bruins all day. I'm done.
Okay. Are you going to tweet a picture of your first Pink Whitney?
Nope. I'm not going to tweet about the Boston Bruins or anything hockey related. I categorize my drinking habits under hockey related, so nothing hockey related will be.
You realize your new boss is even less of a hockey fan than I am at this point. You realize?
Sure, but he understands that they kicking up a notch in playoff hockey. He understands the competition level.
Yeah, I said it first. He stole it from me.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing like playoff hockey. Nothing like a good 1-goal elimination game. I will be watching. I'll still squeeze in Tucker at some point, but I'll be watching tonight. I'll be rooting for you, Callahan. It's going to be fun.
I appreciate it.
It's going to be fun. All right, we will leave it there. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.